All right, so thank you everyone for being here. I'm going to share the slideshow presentation. Give me one moment. All right, so I need to go back to Zoom and share my screen. Okay. Can everyone see the screen for the webinar today? Okay, perfect. All right, so we are officially underway. Again, sorry for the rocky start. So this is the June ECEF monthly webinar, and I'll start with a little going over the agenda. Looks like a little of the formatting got messed up this morning. But because we have a tight agenda, we're not going to do an icebreaker today. We'll be sure to fit one in next time. I've enjoyed doing the ones with waterfall responses in the chat and then folks getting to call out some of their responses who have felt like sharing. So today we're a tiny bit behind schedule because of my learning with the interpretation piece, but we will start with a short update from the evaluation team. And then we are lucky to get to hear a presentation from MFS, from Metropolitan Family Services today, and that will take up the bulk of our meeting. And then Abigail Mendez from Latino Network is going to do a little sharing about a project that she and team members are working on and has a request around feedback or information from you all. And then at the end, I'm just going to briefly go over some of the 3 ECEF end of the year activities that we have pending, since it's almost time to wrap up this fiscal year at the end of June. And I know you've all been working really hard on like summer programming and the evaluation pieces and everything you're doing like event wise and programmatic wise to support families this time of year. So, oh, I have more people joining the meeting, so just gonna make sure I admit them. Okay, so we will move to the ECEF evaluation updates. And I didn't have a slide, I just put this as a placeholder for you.
I love it, Emma. Thank you. And I can be super quick here so that we can hold time for the presentations coming up. The biggest announcement that we wanted to share with everyone is that the evaluation leadership group finalized the child outcome tool last week. So woohoo, we are so excited about this. This has been a process. This was like a good, I want to say, at least year of working on and off on the child tool. I think it was pretty challenging for us to work our way through all the different complexities involved in really trying to co-design a culturally responsive and affirming child level tool, maybe even a little bit harder than working on the family tools. So this is a major accomplishment, and we're so excited to share it out with all of you. That's going to happen in July at the webinar, where Emma has graciously allotted a good chunk of time for us to really walk through the tool with you and kind of get some initial thoughts and do some initial planning around rolling this out for the next year. Right now, it's gone to graphic design, and we're also in the translation process. So we wanted to kind of get those things together before we shared it with you in July. And next steps with that will be to start having planning meetings with Alexis. Don't worry, you don't have to do it immediately. We've got time here, but to think about putting processes in place for actually collecting this data in 2025. So just like Alexis did for the family level data, he will be able to work with each one of you to really kind of think through how you might want to customize the tool to make it the best fit for the communities that you're working with, and as well as the sort of more logistical side of how to do it, how to submit the data, and all of that good stuff. So I think I'll just hold everything else for July, and we're just really excited to share this with you.
Thank you so much, Lorelai. Are there any questions for Lorelai before we, or the evaluation team before we move forward? Feel free to come off mute if you have any question. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that brings us to the part in our webinar where we get to hear some information from Metropolitan Family Services. And Maria, I apologize. I think because the slides were sent right before the meeting, I didn't have a chance to integrate them into the slideshow presentation. So I think if you are ready, I will stop sharing my screen and you could share your screen. I made you a co-host also.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
So I stopped sharing.
All
And let's
right, here we go. Can everybody see my screen? Okay, I see a thumbs up. Thank you so much.
yes.
Well, yay. Hi, everybody. Well, let's see. My name is Maria Quijano, they, she. You're probably wondering, what are we going to talk about today? What do we want to do? So as you can kind of see in a sneak peek from the presentation, we're going to talk about our project about Ready, Set, Go engineering. And I do have a few guests here with me today too, which are going to talk about a little bit more about their organization. We partnered with them to do this really wonderful work. And then so we wanted to come and share this wonderful kind of like journey that we've had. And I'll talk a little bit more about the need of more research and support for engineering in early childhood, which I know that all of us here work within that spectrum. So I'm excited to be here and let's jump in. I have my timer also so stop at 11:40 so we can keep on track. So here you go, Ready, Set, Go engineering by me. So this is a quick agenda, just so you know what we're gonna do today. So I'm gonna introduce the team. I'm gonna have a quick icebreaker, so we'll still have an icebreaker, Emma. So we'll still be able to do that. We'll talk about how it all started, our approach and story, the results, and kind of share some resources because that's really one of the biggest things that we wanted to do today is to share the resources so then you can see how you can integrate engineering into your classrooms, into your home visits, into your sites, into all of the spaces that you are and interact with families. So first, let's go with who are we? So that's me during the cherry blossoms back in March, I believe. So my name is Maria Quijano, they, she pronouns. I'm the senior program manager here at Metropolitan Family Service in the Ready, Set, Go program. So the Ready, Set, Go program is an early learning program, but we have a lot of different services. So we have early Ready, Set, Go, which we serve children 0 to 3 in the classroom with their caregivers. We hold parent-child interaction groups. And we also have our preschool Ready, Set, Go, which is for children ages 3 to 5 and their caregivers. Again, we also hold parent-child interaction groups. And we also have our home visiting program and P3 program. Our home visiting do home visits, that's their focus. But they also do socialization groups that are also parent-child interaction groups. So we do a little bit of everything, and we serve the whole spectrum, prenatal to 5 and up to 6 years old as they're transitioning into kindergarten. So just super excited to be here and to present with all of you kind of our findings and all the really awesome things that we've done in the past 5 years. So let you know a little bit more about that in a bit. But I want to introduce the folks that are here. So I'll share the mic. And if you want to kind of come off mic and introduce yourselves, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. It's very nice to be with you here today. My name is Mirla Ramos Montañez, pronouns she, her, hers. And I am a family STEM learning researcher at Turk. And I'll pass it on to Viviana.
Hi, good morning. I'm also very happy to be with you all today. I work with Turk, with Mirla and Scott, and it's been a pleasure to work also with Raise Go on this project.
Hey everyone, my name is Scott Pattison. I use he, him pronouns, and like Viviana said, it's been an honor to partner with Maria Quijano and the MFS team. I'm a researcher with Viviana and Smirla, and I co-direct the Center for Equitable Family STEM Learning with Smirla, and she'll say a little bit more about what we do.
Great. And yes, so like Scott mentioned, we co-direct the Center for Equitable Family and Learning at Turk. Turk is a nonprofit organization that's focused in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and it's focused on programs and research that relate to STEM education across the United States. At the Center for Equitable Family STEM Learning, we focus on partnering with families and community partners so that we can understand the unique ways that families engage with science, technology, engineering, and math, specifically outside of school. We really try to elevate the voice and the perspectives of families in STEM education research, and we develop programs and collaboration models that help us transform systemic inequities in STEM education, specifically for families. In a lot of our projects, we use participatory methods that highlight the assets that are present within communities and that counter deficit narratives. So we focus on strengths and knowledge that already exist within families from diverse cultural communities. Most of the funding for our projects comes from the National Science Foundation. And what we wanted to do is share just a little bit about a couple of the projects that we currently have. The first one that I wanted to just tell you a little bit about is called Viviendo Matemáticas. This is a 3-year project that focuses on designing and researching a new family engagement model that involves having both parents and teachers together in dialogue groups. And it's a space where teachers and parents can work together, build strong relationships, and where we can try to balance the power between schools and families and discuss equitable math learning in preschool. So for this particular model, we're trying to use dialogic approaches where we distribute power among participants. We come into the space as learners. We want everybody to bring in their knowledge and their experience. And we try to validate that everybody comes in with a perspective. We welcome and encourage in the space people to bring in those ideas, and we work together to explore new ones. So in this project, we're learning how to both design the group and to be able to expand the ways that we think about math and math education, bringing in all of the knowledge that families already have and the way that they interact with math and those connections that they make and how they use math to solve everyday problems in their lives. And we're really excited. We just wrapped up the first year, and we think that this is a model that can be leveraged across the education system, both for family and parent engagement, and that it allows us to explore math, but also other areas of interest. And so we're in the process of piloting how those groups are going to work out, and we're testing a variety of meeting structures and hands-on math activity. And so Scott's going to tell you a little bit more about another project and then how we started working with Metropolitan Family Service.
Thanks, Mila. Yeah, we just wanted to, Maria asked us to give you guys a little flavor of the kind of work we do and how that, helped us build our partnership with her team. So one other example is the Head Start in Engineering project, which has been a partnership over the last 10 years or so, funded by the National Science Foundation and a partnership with Mount Hood Community College, Head Start. the University of Notre Dame, and the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. And we've been focusing on developing and testing ways of supporting engineering learning for preschool age children and their families in the Head Start program. And like Smirla said, we have been, learning ourselves and centering equity in all the ways we can. So this project has given us the opportunity to really push on our traditional definitions of engineering and better connect with the ways and elevate the ways that young children and families already use engineering in their everyday problem solving in their everyday lives. So that's one area we've been pushing on. And then also, like Smirla said, we're always trying to transform the ways we work together as researchers, educators, and families to really center those goals of the communities and help address some of those historical power imbalances between these groups. And just to highlight, we recently extended the partnership to include the ERCO Greater Middle East Center. I know some ERCO folks are here, so shout out to you all. And with them, we're exploring how we can adapt the Head Start and Engineering program for Arabic and Dari speaking recent immigrant families from the GME region, and ways that Head Start and Engineering can support their goals and support the goals that GMEC has for their community. So that's been an exciting learning opportunity for us. And just to transition, through the Head Start and Engineering project, one of our colleagues, Veronica Nunez, who now works for Adelante Mujeres, who's also on the call. So again, like a close network here, but she had worked with Metropolitan Family Service and thought that the Head Start and Engineering project would be a really great synergy with the way that MFS thinks about working with families and children, the way they integrate scientific inquiry into their work. So that's really how we came to develop the partnership and the project that Maria is going to talk about now. So unless you want us to say anything else, Maria, then we'll pass it back to you.
No, thank you so much. And thank you for that overview, just because I think there's so many organizations here that I think would benefit from just learning about the work that's being done right now in early childhood and all the projects. And you all are just so amazing. So just thank you so much for that brief overview of what's going on right now in the landscape. So I appreciate it. And of course, I can't forget that it's not only us, right, that are on the call, but we also have a team that really worked really hard for this project and that we continue meeting. And then so we have folks, as we mentioned, from MFS Ready, Set, Go, we have Turk, and we also, like Scott mentioned, our partnership also included Notre Dame. So this is a picture about a year and a half ago, where it was like the last time that we met for our PD. Very lucky to be able to finish off in person, and we were able to take a really beautiful picture. So I just wanted to share that, we have folks on the call representing, but there's so many folks that were involved that supported this project as well. All right. So just quick icebreaker, just to kind of like shake things up a little bit, because you've been hearing us talk. So what words come to mind when you think of engineering? Go ahead and put it in the chat. We'll have a little waterfall chat too, just like Emma. And just kind of what comes to mind when you think of engineering. And I'll read some of them. I hear math, creating, creatividad, solving problems, processes building, making and tinkering, putting things together, building things, bridge building, calculating, building, innovating, Legos, mixing, thinking outside of the box. Ooh, creativity. Yes. I think we're kind of talking to the right audience, because we're talking to early child educators and folks in early learning. So how things function, making life work. Wonderful. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Thank you so much. And because I think the concept of what we think engineering looks like can sometimes be more like somebody in the hard hat with the clipboard, just building something, an infrastructure or something like that, right? So that's kind of like what some folks imagine. But like all of you really said here, right? Like engineering can also can be creative, can be expansive, can be thinking differently. It can be tinkering. So all of the words that people put in the chat, like, of course, right? And especially when we are talking about children and engineering, right? Especially young children and engineering. So here you see one of our kiddos in our early Ready, Set, Go classroom, 0 to 3. this was this past year. The challenge was, can you make tacos for your friends? So that was them trying to make tacos for their friends. And, you know, it was up to them really to really decide further of like, are they going to do a lot of tacos, or what kind of tacos are they going to make? Is it just going to be cheese tacos? Is it going to have meat, et cetera, et cetera? So these are ways that we've integrated, and this is more of like the future of kind of where we are now, of how we've adapted our classrooms with integrating engineering. And it's also something that's meaningful to a lot of families in our program. We have at the moment our demographics, a little over 50% of our families identify as Latino, Latine. So it's something in food that they can identify with, that they can say like, yeah, like I've seen the taco truck before. Yes, like I've gone to, like I've eaten tacos before. Like I know how to build this. Let me do it. I've seen my mom do it. I've seen my dad do it. Like, oh, I can do this too. And I heard that after they had this activity in the classroom, they actually had real tacos in the classroom where they were able to celebrate eating tacos together, and families were able to make their tacos in real life as well. So how did it all start? So our project started back in 2019. So in 2019, we met for the first time, and I was there too. So I saw Scott and Smerla for the first time, Gina from Notre Dame, and we were like just so excited, you know, like we had this like icebreaker of learning what to do, what is engineering, are there tools, et cetera, et cetera. And then the pandemic hit, right? And we're just like, oh no, what are we gonna do? And then so because we were working with such an amazing team and felt so supported, we all pivoted to online virtual PDs, professional developments. And that also means that we had to also pivot our project. So just kind of wanted to paint the picture of kind of like what was going on in the background. And so what we started with our team is to really start understanding what the engineering process is. Because I think this is something that for educators, it's really good to know when you're trying to dive in and then put some activities out for your families into your site, into, you know, whatever activity you're putting out. It can be at the park, it can be at the library. But it really is this cycle, right? Of ask, imagine, plan, create, and then you improve. So something that we learned very early on is that part of our philosophy in Ready, Set, Go is that we follow the inquiry approach. So what that means, and this is just in Spanish, what this just means is that we follow children's, you know, what their interests are. And then so what this means, we were trying to grapple with how do we include inquiry approach, which is exploration, open-ended activities, nature into engineering, and combine them. Like, how do we build them together? Because Scott and Smerla were very, very kind. They didn't want to change what we already have in the classroom or our philosophy too much and what our families are used to. So they were trying to integrate engineering into the inquiry approach. And for those folks that also know about Reggio Emilia, it's very similar to that, right? It's like a kind of like an offshoot of the Reggio Emilia approach as well. So, you know, after grappling, questioning, you know, also asking a lot of questions, like how it was almost its own engineering process by itself, just trying to figure out that combination. We kind of landed on building some kits, and I wanted to show you this. So we kind of landed on, this is like early prototypes of what we kind of landed on. And as I told you, we were supposed to do this project in our classrooms and test out these kits in the classroom, but we pivoted because of the pandemic, and instead we sent kits home to families, and we decided to send them like a Zoom link so they can kind of record themselves while they're doing this. So what the prompt was is like, let's explore, which is part of the inquiry approach, right? Like, what are these materials? What's this paper? What do these sticks do? Like, we don't want to assume also that children have all played and have like made things with these materials. So we wanted them to first explore, figure things out. And after the exploration phase, we went to kind of like the design challenge, which is like, all right, let's design something. And then let me go back to the kits now, because the kits where you see there is like the pollitos, it always came out, the kit always had the, you know, stuff like a stuffy or little things for the kiddos, a book, the prompts for the child and caregiver. And then for this one, it had blocks for the pollitos. So I wanted to show you that. That was like kind of like our first prototype too of the pollitos kit. And then we have the doggy kit. We had a stuffy dog that was very popular with some dots that we later realized those don't really work. They're very hard for kiddos. So we redesigned and we changed that. And then our taco activity kit as well. So again, everything was in English and Spanish again. And we had families that were very diverse in backgrounds, but that spoke English and Spanish as well. So these are the 3 kits that we kind of started with, and we started testing and we started sending to families to see how they interacted. So again, like I showed, this is kind of what we sent to them. This one, same thing, but in Spanish. And this design challenge for the doggy activity is like the book that was sent with them talked about like a long bed, a short bed, their house, and like items in like their household. And then so this first one was like utilizing the activities or the materials that we sent to you. Can you build a house that's good for the big stuffy dog and like the small stuffy dog? And then so I wanted to share a video, and I know it says big Zoe, but I wanted to show a video so you can kind of get a glimpse of how parents and caregivers interacted with the activity. So you can kind of see firsthand of what this actually looks like and not just me talking about it. So I'm going to stop sharing and then show you a little clip. And of course, we got permission, so we can share this clip with everybody. Share sound. Okay, can everybody see the video? I'm going to start it. Give me a thumbs up if you hear it too.
¿Podrías tú construir un gallinero?
We have to make this.
Mira, te acuerdas de la canción que dice, los pollitos dicen, ellos dicen pío, 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 Juan tiene hambre.
Pío, 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 pío.
Es cuando tienen hambre, cuando tienen frío. Su mamá les busca el maíz y el trigo y les da su comida. Les deja
This one for a better thing.
una cama.
Or it can be on top of here like a roof.
¿Y qué puedes hacer con esto? Mira.
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
Ujú.
Now we have
Se cae.
I know.
Quizás necesites otro aquí, quizás, para que esté más.
There was the others.
Mira. Mucho balance. Balance.
Yes. We need blocks here to protect them from zombies.
¿Nos estás protegiendo de zombies? No creo que los pollitos no sean zombies.
Well, I'm just pretending, Mommy. Zombies are really bad things for little babies. What if they eat their brains? All animals have brains, even these ones. And I used to be la 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 la.
Yay. Thanks to this Zoe's family for letting us share their video. So they had the pollito kit, as you kind of heard the pollito song, pío, pío, pío. And so what they were trying to do was to protect the chicks Like they had from like a fox that was coming, they had to build a tall structure to keep the chicks in safe. There are also another different prompt that we tested out is to kind of build like a house or a chicken coop for the chicks. So yeah, so that's what Zoe was trying to do. But we learned very early on that children were definitely capable of being able to go through the engineering process, right? Of planning, of designing, and to be able then to say, oh, this didn't work, let me try it again, and then rethink of their design. So we started noticing like, oh, this is actually happening. Like this, children are totally capable of doing this, and not that we doubted it, but it's just nice to have some proof, right? And then now I wanted to, I'm checking the time, so I'm checking myself, Emma. I just want to quickly share that when we pivoted to going back into in-person, we started testing. We had a year of being able to observe families in the classroom, thanks to Viviana, Scott, and Smirla. So we were able to pivot back to our original plan. And then I just wanted to share some pictures of what children were doing in the classroom and how some educators also pivoted and changed the kits as well. So one of the things that was really prevalent throughout this whole process is the growth of our educators, the confidence of our educators, and them just saying like, hey, you know, I'm noticing that children love the chicks, but they're really interested in like the zoo, right? So we want to make like a design challenge of like, how can the chicks make it to the zoo? And then so like, you know, so they started building their own design challenges, and which is really great to kind of see that growth in all of our educators. So here you see all the little chicks are in the little chicken coop. And then this is a bed that they were trying to do for the stuffed doggy so they can go to sleep. And then this is a way that one of our educators also wanted to design their taco activity in the classroom, where children had a checklist of all of the things that they wanted to get. Again, not only promoting engineering, but promoting literacy, early literacy, promoting like early math when talking about quantity, like just promoting so many like wonderful developmental, and of course, including social emotional. If we're talking about building tacos for our friends, right? So I wanted to highlight, I'm almost done, that what did we learn in this project? So we learned what engineering is for young children. Again, I stated at the beginning that there's not a lot of research out there. Now there's more, but around like engineering in the preschool age, right? Engineering and young children. So this is the wealth of information. And again, thanks to the families that participated. Now we know that engineering is possible in the classroom, at home, for young children and families. So we learned that it's possible. And then 2, we also learned how to design activities to support young children and families. Again, letting them explore the activities beforehand was vital for them then to be ready to do the design challenge. Doing the design challenge was so hard at the beginning because they really wanted to know, what the heck is this bowl for? I've never seen a metal bowl. I want to know what that is first. So that was really important, and we learned that. And then also how to prepare early childhood educators for engineering activities and then building up their confidence. Again, thanks to the Notre Dame team, to the Turk team, that helped us with building that confidence in our team. But we're hoping for future collaborations where we can dive a little bit deeper on learning on how to support educators more in the field, early child educators, through engineering. So hopefully we'll get that grant. And then, so I wanted to share some resources. I'll send this slide. Emma has the slide now, but she'll send it over. There's this link here that goes to a website that the beautiful Turk team put together. It's called Ready, Set, Go Engineering. It also has the Head Start Engineering that Scott was talking about previously, but it has an educator's guide. It has more information about everyday engineering and engineering and early childhood handout. And it has also resources for families. So you can even share that link with families, and everything is in English and Spanish. So that way, hopefully it's like more accessible to more families as well. And just thank you. Gracias. And thank you to the Turk team for being here and for sharing your wonderful work. And if anybody has any questions, let me know. You can put it in the chat, but you can also email me. I'll put it in the chat right now. And you can always visit our website too, mfspdx.org/ReadySeco, RSG. And my information is on there too. So thank you for your time. Thank you, Emma, for the spotlight. And hopefully we got you curious about engineering.
Thank you so much, Maria, and the team of folks that presented about that amazing collaboration. That was so fun to hear about, all the work that you've been doing. And I'm assuming you might be getting some reach out from other grantees who are curious about how to tap into or access some of that resource. So yeah, thank you so much. And if there are questions, I think because of time, we won't have you ask right now. Normally I'd give time for you to have like live question session, but she put her email in the chat and you can reach out that way. And the information that was shared will be in the slide deck for the presentation today too. So let me just get back to sharing my screen. All right. All right, so I hope you can all see my screen. Would you give me a thumbs up if you can see it again? Okay, great. So this moves us to the five minutes more or less allocated for Abigail Mendez to do some sharing.
Thank you, Emma. Can you
Yeah.
hear me okay? Okay,
Yes.
great, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Abigail Mendez. I am the Associate Director of our Early Learning Department here at Latino Network. I'm in the main office, and so if there's background noise, I apologize in advance. Let me know and I can repeat myself or speak louder. I'm here today to talk a little bit about our work as an early childhood equity collaborative. The Latino Network and the folks that you see here at the bottom, Kairos, ERCO, Black Parent Initiative, Latino Network, and NEA Family Center are part of the Early Childhood Equity Collaborative. We, back in 2019, came together to help pass the Early Childhood Equity Fund and our continuing advocacy work. Other people helped advocate for it too, right? I don't want to take full credit. It's just like that is part of why we came together, was to help advocate for this fund. And just this last legislative session, HB 2991 passed, which prompted a study to identify barriers to attaining a high quality early childhood workforce in the state of Oregon. And so the RFP came out, the Early Childhood Equity Collaborative, along with AB Cultural Drivers, Leonard Research and Evaluation, and the Coalition for Communities of Color applied to conduct the study. And so now we are, our research team is synthesizing past research, and we are getting into the next steps of what we're doing. So the purpose of this is to, like, as you all know, there are barriers in our early childhood workforce, and maybe it's language barriers, maybe it's access, all types of barriers. And we want to hear what they are for you and for your communities. And that's why I'm here today. So you want to go to the next slide, Emma. We know that our families and our communities come with such rich experiences, and we want to hear those. And so what we're looking to do is hear from early learning providers about their opportunities for professional development, career advancement, compensation, training and credentials, classification, steps, the Oregon Registry. And so we really want to hear with you all. So we would love to partner with you all in the next coming months. And we are doing that by reaching out to here. Emma's going to follow up with an email, but we want to talk more about the study, about the timeline. And so on the next slide, we have like some brief bullet points on what is coming next. In late July and early August is when we are planning to do focus groups. We have to adhere to a strict timeline because this report is then going to go back to the legislature. And so there are like key deadlines that we have to meet. And so that's why there's like some urgency here. So focus groups in late July and early August, all participants will receive stipend for their participation. If folks are currently, we want to also partner with you all to see if we can offer a capacity payment to organizations that are culturally specific to help create capacity. We know that your time is really valuable. And so any support with coordinating space and, you know, doing outreach to the people in your community who are in the early childhood field, we want to make sure that you're compensated for that. And so we want to reach out with you, we want to connect with you. Like I said, Emma will follow up with an email about details. Please email me, and you can email Akasha, who helps organize the Early Childhood Equity Collaborative. But after the focus groups are done, the research team is going to create a report based on the research that they've gathered, and then there's going to be creation of a key work group. This is another way to potentially partner in the future, who will make recommendations to the state and to DELC about what comes out of this research. Yeah, so I might have spoken a little quickly. I got nervous, but if there are any questions about it, I would love to hear.
I have a question. I'm curious, and I apologize if I was distracted for a second. Are you wanting to talk with families or providers? I just want to clarify.
Yeah, so both, really. We want to meet with you all so that we can coordinate focus groups, because who we want to be at the focus groups are people in the early learning field or people who have been in the early learning field to hear about their experiences. And so maybe that's your staff, but maybe it's also participants of your programs. It kind of just depends on like what you all see. For participant, like for maybe folks that are, yeah, so we can definitely like tease out maybe more details, but if there are other questions that I can answer, please let me know.
Thank you.
It looks like Yadira raised her hand.
Yeah, Yadira.
Hola, Abigail. Sí, soy Yadira.
Yes, hi Abigail, this is Jatira. I would like to ask you, do you have a minimum number of participants with the families? No. Can you hear me? We don't have a minimum number of participants. I think we would like to start the conversations with organizations to see more or less how many people and see if we can join them, because we only have about, we have some dates in July, some in August, and we would like to use time wisely, so to speak. So depending where they're located in the state, perhaps we can have a Spanish group here and invite several organizations here. A minimum number of participants, not now, but we could talk about the details later to make sure that our time is well employed. The coalition is really interested. We would like to participate, and I would like to have a conversation with you in the future. I'm going to give you my email. Thank you, Abigail.
Was that translated into English?
It was, yeah.
Great.
It was a little confusing at first, but then I realized what was happening. I thought I had to shift my channel or something, but yeah, that was great. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? We just have a short part to cover after.
Abigail, will you share your email?
Okay.
Yes, I will put it in the chat. I will put mine and Akasha's. Please, if you're emailing us, email both of us. And Emma will follow up with an additional email with a little bit more detail that
Mhm.
also has our contact information.
Yeah, I'm
And then
gonna.
I will do my best to take note of everybody that put their email in the chat.
Yeah, sounds great. When I send out the webinar recap email, I'm going to include the blurb that Abigail sent me that has more details, and it will have her contact info in there. Okay, so thank you very much for sharing about that opportunity. And I know we are almost to noon, and I typically try to finish content around noon so that we have 15 minutes for questions and people can hop off if they need to. I'm hoping you can stay for just a couple minutes past noon today. I saw 1 or 2 people had to hop already, but if you are able, stay for a couple more minutes. So I just wanted to go over, since it's partway through June and June 30th is the end of our fiscal year for ECEF. Oh, let's see. Sorry, I just got someone trying to enter in the waiting room. Okay. So June is the end of our fiscal year. So we have some end of year activities coming up that I just wanted to cover briefly as a reminder. So each year we do, oh, sorry about that. I got a message for someone to be admitted to the meeting. Just pausing for 1 second. Okay. So for the program service delivery calendar, I know that all the grantees, all of you did 1 year's worth of filling that out at the beginning of this biennium. And so that's done annually. And the due date for the next year, so for 24-25, for the second year of the biennium, the second year will be due on September 1st of this year. And I believe most of you submitted on a document that has the first year filled out and then there's spot for the second year. And so you can just add on to that same document and resubmit. And there will be time for questions if you have questions at the end here about any of the logistics of these pieces. So that's for the program service delivery calendar, and information about that, it can also be found in your grant agreements and I believe also in the grant manual. And the other piece that is done annually is the end of year report. And so the due date for that is going to be August 14th this year. And we're currently working on kind of reformatting the end of year report. When I started working here, basically, I had access to see your responses from previous end of the year reports, but we didn't actually have the template for whatever reason. So we're going to ask some of the same questions as we asked previously, but there might be a few changes that you'll see in there. And we are still working on that, and there's no need to start until the end of the fiscal year. So I will be sure to get that to you by the end of June, so that you have plenty of time to work on it between end of the fiscal year and the due date on August 14th. And the other piece, last piece, and you can ask questions at the end of covering these 3 pieces if that works. The last piece I wanted to talk about as an end of the year activity is the budget reconciliation. And that's going to be due August 14th as well. So same as the end of year report. And I'm going to ask Brandon to come off mute and chat for a minute about what that will look like.
Yeah, so our budget reconciliation, what that's going to look like for y'all is essentially everything spent up until the end of day 6/31 of this year. And so the format we're going to use for that is going to be that budget template that you all submitted your budget on, and just with the exact figures that you have spent. And so I know some of y'all do a draw where, you know, you draw before you have like spent the funds. So don't include what you haven't spent yet. Even if you've pulled it, it will be just what has been spent concretely, just so we can make sure that all of our stuff aligns and confirms that like everybody's on track to meet that administrative percentage And if you're not, then we can, help make corrections around that. If anybody wants any more information, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll throw my email in the chat.
And what
Apparently,
I was also thinking, Brandon, so Brandon's putting their email in the chat, and I was also thinking when I put together the recap for this presentation, I'll include the piece from Abigail that she also wanted to send out to highlight details of the project she's working on. And for the budget reconciliation, so these 3 components for end of year activities, I will highlight those in the bulk of the email for the recap. And I'll ask Brandon to write just a little paragraph kind of summarizing what they just shared about the budget reconciliation, just since I don't have it explicitly written down on this slide. So you will get that information written down as well.
Yeah, and if anybody needs help or wants further clarification, any email from me, there's a link to set up a 15, 30, 45, or 60-minute meeting with just one-on-one with me. So happy to help ensure that everything's correct on your end. So that way you're good to go come August 14th.
Great, thank you, Brandon. Does anyone have any immediate questions about the end of year activities that we just briefly went over? Feel free to just come off mute if you have a question.
Hi, Emma. I just sent this in a message, but I'm just wondering, when we submitted our budget amendment with the second year, did I miss maybe an approval? Will we get a notice, or do we just assume that it was approved?
I think Brandon could also comment on that. I believe you should have gotten an approval if it was approved. If you didn't, we can look into that like on a case by case basis.
It may have come if it was a smart
Yeah.
sheet generated or
Okay.
something, and I just didn't see it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would come, that approval would come via Smart Sheets. So check in your spam, because I know Smart Sheets fancy and smart, but it really likes spam folders. And if you still can't find it, just reach out.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt
Heather,
you.
why don't you stay on a couple minutes after like I officially close? Because yeah, I think I know what the issue might be. So
Okay,
I just
thank
don't
you.
wanna, yeah, while we're recording and while other people are on here.
Sure.
We can
Thank you.
chat about it after. Thank you. Any other questions related to the end of year activities? And like I said, this will be reiterated in the recap email that we send out with more detail, especially around the budget reconciliation piece. Okay, it sounds like there are not more questions. So
There's a question in the
there
chat,
is.
Emma.
Oh, in the chat. Okay, sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, it's about the literature grant, the birth.
Yes, so for the Birth to 5 literacy plan, we are in the process of getting it posted. So it's not posted yet, but it will be open by the end of June. So nothing has changed in regards to that timeline. That's still that is still the plan, and we're excited to get that application open so that you can start putting, filling it out, working on your proposals. And again, I would have loved if this could have come out sooner so that then starting July 1st, if you were awarded the funds, that you would get to start with those funds in hand July 1st. But that is not how the timing has aligned in terms of our internal processes with getting everything finalized, since it was kind of a last minute push to get these funds out. And I apologize, there is barking in the background because someone came to my door. The beauty of working from home. So apologize for the background noise. And yeah, thank you for the question in the chat. And yeah, so in closing, don't hesitate to reach out if you do have further questions or concerns. I'm going to wrap up the main part of the meeting and stop recording. And if you do have additional questions that could require kind of one-on-one chat, then hang out. We will be here till 12:15. So thank you again for joining us for the June ECEF webinar. I thought it was a really great webinar today with lots of neat content from presenters. So yeah, thank you again. I'm going to stop recording and I will see you.
Sakaya, I hope
Oh.
I pronounced your name wrong. Or right. I hope I did not do it wrong. I can use English words. I apologize. There isn't a firm date yet, but we will
Hola,
be sending that
Emma.
out.
Tengo que irme a otra reunión, pero
Okay.
quiero
I
agradecerte.
have to go to another meeting, but I would like to thank all the team for doing this job, beautiful job of putting an interpreter, very professional. Thank you so much. I think that this is going to help and motivate more peers to join, to not be afraid because there's no interpretation, because we can't understand what's going on and we can't participate. Thank you and all the team behind you. Have a good afternoon and thanks interpreter as well.
Thank you so much for that feedback.
Gracias.
I'm
por-
sorry that I'm sorry
Gracias
that
por la
we
retroalimentación.
Yeah, I'm sorry that we didn't previously have interpretation in Spanish available, so I'm really happy we were able to provide that. And I'm glad to hear that it made a difference for you and your level of involvement in the webinar. So yeah, I'm, have lots to learn and I'm happy to be able to support in that way. And I'm always happy to hear feedback about accessibility and things that might make these webinars a better experience for all of you. So please don't hesitate to share that, whether it's email or in our meetings together. And Zakia, I wasn't sure if you had a question and got your question answered. I just wanted to double check.
Yes, I think she said that it wasn't out yet.
Okay.
The interpretation kind of came in towards the end, so I didn't hear the
Yeah.
end part of what she said, but I think the first part was that no specific date just of yet. And I did want to ask, will you guys next year, being that the team now maybe is a little bit more stable, start making site visits, maybe, so you can kind of see some of the work in person?
Yes, so that is definitely on the radar, and I love now that I have Brandon, and we have like a full team. I would love to put our heads together and see when we can schedule site visits this coming year. I live out of the area, but I was in Portland for nine years previously, and so yeah, any opportunity to make work trips down to where all of this amazing work is being done is very welcomed. So I will definitely make it happen on my part, and I'll team up with Brandon to come check out your sites. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm very excited to start doing site visits and just get more integrated into like the excitement that all of y'all are bringing to your kiddos and to the community. So I love seeing it, and honestly, it's like what I thrive on other than numbers. So very, very excited to see that.
All right, thank you. Well, my apologies for being off camera for most of the day. We are prepping
you're
for
fine.
graduation, and so I just wanted to
fun.
listen in. But we are trying to get ready for our graduation that'll be starting pretty soon. Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have a
Thank
great
you.
day and enjoy graduation. Have fun.